Bromborough loves our library. Over 2,000 people of all ages have signed a petition to save it, and other communities feel very similar. Higher Bebbington, Greasby, Hoylake, Irby, Pensby, Prenton, Rockferry, Woodchurch and Wallasey Village, they love their libraries too. And my library amendment, means that we can save them all, at least for 1 year. There's no need for council cuts, these cuts to libraries, swimming pools and golf courses. There was no need, in my view, for a loan from the government last year, bringing intervention that's not welcome. These are political choices, and let me show you why. Wirral Council's net income for next year is forecast to be £330 million, 163 million coming in from your council tax, 139 million from your business rates, and from government grants, 28 million. In 2010, the government grant without business rates was 68 million, nothing like the 267 million claimed in the latest Lies leaflet from Labour. Even if you include the business rates, then that would come to 192 million, 75 million less than what Labour's leaflet is claiming. But Tory cuts are cruel, and the nerve of the leader of the Conservative group to lecture us about how beneficial the Conservative government has been. This Conservative government is the ones that a judge found had made unlawful COVID contracts, fast-tracked VIP lane, a large proportion going to Tory party donors, public money going into private hands. That's what the Tories are very good at. And all the while people are not able to visit their dying relatives in hospital, they're having parties in 10 Downing Street, laughing at us. For shame. We councillors, we are elected politicians. We're elected by the public to make political choices about public money, raised from the public to be spent for public benefit. Are your ward councillors going to vote for cuts to libraries, swimming pools and golf courses? Are they going to put party before people? Or are your councillors voting for the many or for the money? The council budget this year is shown by this money here, £330. The budget proposals to be voted on today would reduce neighbourhoods by 4 million, reduce resources by 1.5 million, and reduce law and governance by 300,000. Adults' budget would be increased by 5 million, children's by 500,000, and regeneration by 1 million. That's the effect of all the comings and goings, and the physical props are here for the rest of the meeting if you want to come and have a look. There's a planned budget surplus of £440,000 that would keep all the libraries open until November. The additional cost of keeping the libraries open for a full year is about £330,000. The equivalent here is 35p. And senior officers agree that libraries could be funded from the Financial Resilience Reserve of £375,000 as a one-off. To keep Woodchurch Leisure Centre running would cost the council £40,000. Just this, out of all this budget. Europa Fun Pool, £266,000. And Brackenwood Golf Course, to keep it open just to September, would cost £50,000. So where can we possibly find this total amount of £716,000? All these departments are saying, no, there's nothing else that we can give here. It's all taken for. What about all the shiny investments that the Labour Cabinet made in recent years? 6 of them are still with us today. All the pet projects that they had, let's have a look. There's an envelope here. Wirral Growth Company, we've put a good £2 million into there. Is there anything coming back? No, not even the external assurance reports can say that we can't count any money coming back in from Wirral Growth Company. What have we got in the bank? Well, so there's general fund balances of 10 million, 10.7 million. which need to be increased. There's, in the earmarked reserves, we've got two types. One kind of reserve that isn't legal to spend because it's for schools and other contracts, that's 40.7 million. And then there's this £27 million of reserves, which are earmarked for certain things, but they're also legal to reallocate. They could be repurposed. But when we've asked, can we repurpose these earmarked reserves, we're told no, we can't. They're all, earmarked for something that was earmarked in the past. But even the council's auditor says there's over £20 million in earmarked reserves that could be used to deal with any savings shortfall. There's no written report, there's no assessment, there's no ranking of these earmarked reserves about why it's more important to keep these than to spend them on keeping services open. Oh, apart from £2.5 million that are moving from earmarked reserves into general fund reserves, £500,000 for children's, £500,000 for leisure, but there's £500,000 also going into waste, for the waste levy, not next year, but for the year after. So earmarked reserves can move around. And I'm glad to say that 375,000 has been identified that could be used to keep libraries open. It doesn't seem right to me that 400 people employed by Wirral Council last year were paid more than £50,000, almost double the average salary on the Wirral. Wirral Council spent £24 million on such salaries and severance pay. The top 10 senior leadership team alone cost £1.4 million. Yet they have not been able to bring forward proposals to balance the budget without cutting libraries, leisure centres and golf courses. Councillors and members of the public, another Wirral is possible. We can have public services for everybody, contractors paid the real living wage, warm homes, good schools, decent jobs and swimming pools, adult care and clean air, and refugees being welcome here. We can have a publicly delivered National Health Service, but we need to vote for it today and in the elections in May. So the first amendment before you from myself is about Europa Fund Pool. It's been turned into yet another gym, but we don't need to throw in the towel or wave goodbye to fund for youngsters, thousands of youngsters. The pool can at least break even during the summer holidays. Leisure Committee voted to reopen the fund pool as soon as COVID allows. This amendment merely asks us to restate our intentions to pause the reopening of Europa Fund Pool, not to permanently close it. And who knows, we might have councillors here this time next year who can find £270,000 to reopen Europa Fund Pool. And secondly, libraries. Officers agree that we can legally vote to save all our libraries for 1 year. It would still keep the £3 million contingency reserve, and it's a perfectly legal way to save our services. So please vote for these amendments. Thank you very much. The figures I quote are from the audited accounts for the council. It's all there in the public domain to see. The figures for health is on page 96 of the pack. Last year it was 113 million, and this year it's 118 million. There's a straightforward increase, net increase to adults. I think a no-cuts budget is possible. We have £330 million income this year. There's 29 million of usable reserves that could be repurposed. It's not been possible to get agreement of the Section 151 officer on various proposals, and maybe with time that could have come. Every couple of weeks there's more reserves that are released for various purposes and reallocated, and it's possible that that committees could be looking at those areas as and when the specific proposals come to them in the months to come. There's been a lot of blame game tonight, and I think in truth the answer is both. There's both austerity from the Conservatives government that's causing cuts to council services, and there's also bad leadership on Labour's part. And we need to be looking at what we do about that, and the proposals that are before us today are legal. They create a balanced budget, they reduce some of the hardship of those cuts. And there's a kind of weird love-hate relationship going on between the Tories and the Labour Party in the Wirral Council in recent months, a strange, unholy alliance. But when the chips are down, laugh if you like, but our residents are not laughing. This is a serious matter. Because when the chips are down, I'm expecting Labour and Conservative to vote for cuts to frontline services. They're going to be, let's be clear, they're going to vote to close our libraries when they don't have to. They're going to vote to close leisure centres when they don't have to. They're going to vote to close services that are hurting the communities we are elected to represent. The council has enough money to keep these services open, and if there is better leadership, I'm sure we could do that. Thank you.